by your mercy, you have me speechless. That's how good God is, that he leaves us speechless. I call you Jesus. No one's greater than you. No one's stronger than you. And Jesus at the center of it all. And finally, we're moving forward. Where are we moving forward from? We're finally moving forward from part 3 of why we need God. Our first one, part 1, was dealing with the woman with the issue at the well. She was stuck in a place of chaos, frustration, anxiety. Give me some water so I don't have to come to this place because I'm so frustrated. And when Jesus offered her the alternative and says, I am the Christ, she went back and told everyone to come see a man. Part 2 dealt with the man at the pool of Bethesda who had been waiting for the troubling of the water, waiting for the moving of the water. Been stuck in this place for 38 years, and I'm just waiting. God, they said you're going to do it, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting for a miracle. I'm waiting for this to happen. I'm waiting for my life to change. I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. And yet when the opportunity was there, he didn't recognize that the living water was there. Bartimaeus said, Jesus, have mercy on me. Jesus kept walking. He said, thou son of David, I recognize your deity. Have mercy on me. He got louder over opposition. I refuse to be stuck in this situation. He received the sight. The pool of Bethesda. That was part 2. Part 3 is dealing why we need God. God is calling for us to wake up. On that picture right there, you see a graveyard, and beyond that grave, you see a metropolitan city. I don't know. I think that's New York. Yeah, it's New York, right? That's New York City. You see a grave, and a lot of us, we're like that, stuck in dead places. We're stuck in dead-end jobs. We're stuck in dead relationships. We're stuck in the deads of our minds and dead of our thinking. And God and Jesus simply saying, wake up. There is an alternative. There is a better way. There is a U-turn on the path that you are going. Wake up. Because life is passing you by. You don't have to be stuck in a place where you're slowly dying. He's saying, wake up. There is an alternative. This is why we need God. Shout out to my good friend, Cynthia Madison. She supports us every week. She follows us on Facebook, our video and our posts. So Cynthia, I appreciate your support. Let's get into the Word of God. John chapter 11, verse 1 through 4. And this is like interesting about this story, Jesus and Lazarus. According to John, in the book of John, this is Jesus' final miracle before he's crucified on the cross. And when God gave me this message, I said, God, give me something new in this message that I've never read before or never popped into my head. And God showed me like 2 things in here that kind of like just really blew my mind. So John chapter 11, verse 1 through 4 says, now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and his sister Martha. It was Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was ill. So the sister sent to him, saying, Lord, he whom you love is ill. Your boy is sick. But when Jesus heard it, he said, the illness does not lead to death. It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Verse 5 says, now Jesus loved Martha and his sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Delay is not denial. See, delay is not denial. And I don't like cliches because a lot of people say that delay is not denial. Say that again, delay is not denial. But in this case, delay was not denial. Or from Mary and Mark's perspective, you delayed, he died. So Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick. So he says, because, I heard my mother was sick. I told Yvette, let's figure out a way. Let's get up to Delaware. We got to get to Delaware real quick. Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, and he stayed 2 days longer. We going to get there. I mean, he could have dematerialized and rematerialized in Bethany where they at. But he chilled for 2 more days. Jump to verse 7. Verse 7 says, And then he said to his disciples, after 2 days, let us go back to Judea. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago the Jews there tried to stone you, and yet you're going back? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? And anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. Interesting part on this is that Jesus acknowledges that there's 12 hours in the day. And he says anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble. When you're interesting, the Bible tells us, add to your faith. And it tells you to add all these certain things to your faith. And then it says that if you do these things, by adding all these things to your faith, it says you will never stumble. So Jesus is telling them that, faith is the foundation of everything, but when you add on to your faith, when you add on love, when you add on joy, when you add on perseverance, when you add on self-control, if you add all these things, you will not stumble and you will not fall. So Jesus is saying, while there are 12 hours in the daylight, anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by the world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they don't stumble. When they do stumble, because they're in darkness. He's calling us out of dead places into his marvelous light. I remember I had a dream years ago where I was on 95 in Wilmington, and I crashed, drove right off the bridge in 95 by the Blue Rock Stadium, and down there it was just, everything was dead. It was graves, it was burnt houses, dead trees. Everything was dead. I was alive, but I saw a lot of people that had crashed and burned that was down there, and I was crawling out, and I was surprised that I had made it and I was still alive. And he's calling us for people that find themselves in places like that, where everything is around you is dead. You're in a dead relationship. Your friends, you don't even get anything out of you being with your friends. Sometimes you have friends that, oh man, I can't wait to see my boy, can't wait to see my girl. We go hang out. He always makes me laugh. I always have a good time with my friends. But for some reason now, when I hang out with them, I just feel like they're sucking the life out of me. They're sucking the energy out of me. That's a dead relationship. And he's saying, wake up. Verse 11 says, and after he said this, he went to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I'm going there to wake him up. His disciples replied, Lord, if he sleep, he will get better. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So when he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And for your sakes, I'm glad I was not there, so that ye may believe, but let's go to him. Verse 16, then Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. Now, interesting thing right here. Thomas, everyone knows Thomas. There's a cliche. There, stop being a doubting Thomas. All because of one thing that Thomas said. Thomas said when Jesus rose from the grave, he says, unless I see the nails print in his hands and in his feet, I will not believe. And Jesus said to Thomas, blessed are they that believe, having never seen. Didn't say the person that did not believe because they didn't see wasn't blessed, but he just says, blessed are they who've seen, who believe, having never seen. But yet, here's Thomas right here that nobody talks about this Thomas. Thomas said, let us also go that we may die with him. If he's going there to die, I want to go die. And I thought about that for a second. Because Jesus plainly said that Lazarus is dead, but I'm going to go over there to wake him up. And Thomas says to the rest, let us also go that we may die with him. Think about that. I want to be so ingratiated with Jesus Christ that I want to see the power of his resurrection. That if I'm dead, he's going to raise me back up. Resurrection means coming back into notice, coming out of that dead place. So Thomas was speaking faith right here, saying, let us also go that we may die, because guess what? He's going to bring us back. Verse 17. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. The Jews had a superstition that they believed that a person's spirit hovers across their body for at least 3 days. Well, Lazarus had now been dead 4 days. Now, Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Interesting fact, because, Lord, if you would not have been here, my brother would not have died. But she also says in the same breath, but I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Because it seems like sometimes I'm like Martha, sometimes we get like Martha. Lord, if you had only been here, because I know all the miracles that you did, I've seen everything you've done. If you had been here, he would not have died. But even now, I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. It's interesting that she says this after she told Jesus, "You're too late. He's gone." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection." You're talking about a physical thing, that he's dead and that he's gone. But guess what? I am the resurrection. I am coming back to notice. I am not a person, I am a person, place, or thing. I'm not a specific design or trapped in a particular time frame. I am that very thing. I am the resurrection. So even though he's dead, I am the resurrection and the life. So you're saying he's dead, but I'm going to bring him back into notice. I am going to restore his life. And Martha, do you believe that? Yes, I believe it. When Jesus saw her weeping, so Martha runs and tells Mary, "Jesus is here." Jesus is here. Mary runs out to meet Jesus. And the people that were with Mary, they followed. Verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in our spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Verse number 35, the shortest verse in the entire Bible. Jesus wept. And that verse, even though it's the smallest, speaks so loudly to the humanity, the compassion of Jesus Christ. Did not Jesus just say that, hey, I'm going to wake him up? I'm going to do a miracle there. But it says that he was so overwhelmed by the love and the compassion of them weeping and mourning over Lazarus' death that it says, and Jesus wept. That's why the Bible says that we have not a high priest who cannot be touched with our infirmity, but was tempted in every which way that we are, yet he did not sin. So even though Jesus knew that he was going to raise Lazarus up, he still wept because his heart goes out to Mary to see them mourning. My heart, and I find that now that my heart goes out to certain people, and when I see them hurting, when I see them struggling, my heart goes out to them. That speaks about the love of Jesus Christ. That speaks about how much that he loves us, that he doesn't like to see us hurting, that even though he knows that he's about to do a miracle and that mourning is about to turn into joy, his heart of compassion, Jesus wept. That's a message in itself. Verse 36. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved them?" But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" They're looking at one aspect. Oh, you opened blind eyes and you did this, but could you have stopped him from dying? What did Jesus say he was? He says, "I am the resurrection." You're looking at me and you're limiting me to what you think. You're putting me in the box, but I'm beyond the box. Verse number 38. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out. Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, wake up. Lazarus, get on out here, man. Why we need God? Because, like Lazarus, we find ourselves in dead places. We find ourselves stuck where there's no way out. We find ourselves in where people have given up on us and say that there is no hope. They say there's no hope for America. They say no hope for the economy, no hope for healthcare. There's no hope for relationships. There's no hope for your children. There's no hope because they're in jail. There's no hope because they're on drugs. There's no hope because they're living in the street. There's no hope because they're homeless. There's no hope because they're dead to their own drugs. There's no hope because they're addicted to alcohol. They're addicted to pornography. They're addicted to all these things. There is no hope because they're in all of these dead places. There's no hope. And there's a stone in front of the entrance. But here's the deal. Jesus said, remove the stone. Get that stone out of the way. He's speaking to the stone that's blocking you. He's speaking to the voices of those stones, of your person, place, or things that are saying that you're trapped and you'll never get out. He's saying, remove the stone. Number one, let's go back a little deeper before that. Jesus said, where's he at? He's telling you right now, he says, you're not lost. I'm looking for you. He's not saying that you're dead. I'm looking for you. Where have you laid him? Once he found out where you laid him, he said, remove the stone. Now here's Martha. She's the one that says, if you only had been here, but I know now that even whatever you ask of God, he will do it. I'm trying to figure out her mentality at this point because at one point she was grieving. If you only had been here, I know you could have saved him. That's faith, that I know you could have saved him. But her faith went to a certain point. Because you look at death and say, no, it's too late. A lot of people look at cancer and say, it's too late. God is able to do above what we think or what we ask according to the power that worketh in us. Continue to speak your healing. Continue to speak your breakthrough. Continue to speak your deliverance. Continue to speak that you will live and not die. Continue to speak and encourage yourself and over yourself to wake up. So he says, remove the stone. And Martha says, Lord, he's been in there for 4 days. By now he's rotten and it's going to be stinking. Jesus said to Martha, did I not tell you that if you believe, there's the key. Then Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you've heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people. They need to see me praying to you, God. They need to see me giving glory and honor to you. They need to see that even though I'm here, I'm connected to you, and that there's power if they believe in me and they speak to you in my name. When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. Whatever situation you are in right now, Jesus is saying, wake up and come out. Verse 44 says, the dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, take off the grave clothes and let him go. Therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. There was no proof. There was no doubt, rather. Neatly. That was the same type of napkin that was wrapped around Lazarus. Now, mind you, they bind this napkin around your face. When Lazarus got up, guess what? Lazarus came out with the thing bounded. The only way for him to get free, Jesus gave the command, loose him and set him free. Guess what? Wherever that situation Jesus is calling you out of, he's telling those things that are having you bound to loose you and set you free. That very napkin that was bound around his face, guess what? Only a live person will have the ability to take that from around his face. That's why Jesus, when he rose from the dead, he took that very napkin off and he folded it up neatly to show you that, guess what? All power is given to me in heaven and in earth. Guess what? I'm folding this napkin to let you know that guess what? I was dead, but now I'm alive. I was dead. I was in this dead place. I was stuck behind this stone. But guess what? The stone has moved. I'm alive. I'm not in this dead place anymore. I'm living. I'm walking. I'm breathing. Look at my hands. Look at my feet. Look at where they pierced me in the side. I am out of this place. I'm coming out. And because Jesus says, he's telling us in 2017, and because I live, guess what? You can face tomorrow. In spite of your dead situation where you think you're at, because I live, you can face whatever you are going through and you can overcome it. That's why in Revelation it says that when we see Jesus, we're going to sit at the table and we're going to discuss how we overcame, how he overcame. And because he overcame, we can overcome our situation, what we're in, all that death, all that relationship, that job, that whatever you find yourself in, that grave, that mindset of thinking, all dead things, negative thoughts that I'm not going to win, I can't make it, this, that, and that. Kill that noise. Remove that stone from your thinking. And guess what? Wake up. This is why we need God. Because he's calling us out of dead places. He's calling us out of our dead thinking. He's telling us to wake up. John records 7 times where Jesus says that I am. John 6:48, he says, I am the bread of life. That means he's the sustainer. He gives us all we need. John 8:12, he says, I am the light of the world, the illuminator. He brings the energy of light into the dark world. You can't see? John Cena says, you can't see me. Guess what? You can see Jesus because he's the light of the world. And guess what? That light is transferable because he says that we are a city set on a hill for all to see. We are not the Illuminati, but we are the illuminators. We can light up people's lives where they're in those dark places. They're stuck in that grave. Be that light. His word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. We are the light of the world that shines to show people a better way. That light that leads them to Jesus. We are that lighthouse that when the storm is coming, I'm going to guide you in home safely. John 10:9, he says, I am the door, the mediator. He brings us where we otherwise could not go. He opens doors that no man can close. He closes doors that no man can open. John 10:11, he says, I am the good shepherd, the caretaker. He cares for us just like he did. That's why David says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me beside the still water, and then he restores me. And guess what? As the shepherd, he's saying, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And don't forget, as the good shepherd, it says that he maketh me to lie down. His rod and his staff, they comfort me. So when I need to be rebuked, when I need to be corrected, when I need to be chastised, he's still loving me. As my shepherd, he's going to do it. John 11:25, what does he tell Martha? He says, I am the resurrector, the life giver. I'm bringing you back into notice. When they said it's over, guess what? You're coming back into notice. John 14:6, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He's the leader. In other words, I changed that. He's the total package. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the total package. I will be what you need me to be when you need me to be it. John 15:1, he says, I am the true vine, the success maker. He makes us unbelievably productive. He told his disciples, without me, you can't do nothing. Guess what? He's the core. He's the root of it all. He is the true vine. And as long as we're connected to the true vine, we will prosper. We will prosper. He's calling us to wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Don't be so inundated, so scared by what you read or see on the news, read online, read in the newspaper if you still read newspapers. Guess what? He's saying, wake up. Why? Because he's saying, I am all these things. I am the total package. I will be what you need me to be when you need me to be it. And by that very word, he told his disciples, he says, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I will be with you always, even until the end of the world. I remember, what was that movie? Do the Right Thing? Was it Do the Right Thing? At the end, Lawrence Fishburne, at the end, he said, on campus, and he's like, wake up! That's what we need to be saying right now. Wake up. Today, that's what he said, is wake up. That's what Lawrence said. Today is wake up. Today is wake up. Today is wake up. He's telling us to wake up. I don't care what society says, the government says, the person says, the president says, the governor says, the senator says, Congress says, the mayor says. Jesus is the way. He's the answer. He is the way. For whatever you're facing today, whatever it may be, Jesus is the answer. If we can stand for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we give you praise, and we give you glory, and we give you honor, God. And we thank you, God, for life, health, and strength, oh God.